God morgon och välkomna. Klockan är 9:30 och eftersom jag är lärare till professionen så tycker jag man ska börja i tid. Vi har inga akademiska kvartar och såna grejer här. Det är dags för första programpunkten på Spelarmedalen. And since we have an international panelist, this will be done in English. Welcome to the grand opening of Spelarmedalen 2026. I guess we should have had like marching bands and parades and fireworks, etc., to celebrate this great thing. But we have a firework of talent to talk to you. So please, first of all, the title of this seminar is The Quest for Talent, the games industry's commitment to diversity, inclusion, equality, and education. And sounds like a small task to talk about in like what we have, 45-50 minutes. Perfect. So let's not spare any more time and welcome up the panelists. Ulrika Sultan, please join me here. And as you're first on stage, you can sit wherever you like. Your name is here, but you can move around if you prefer. Johanna Nylander, dataspelsbranschen. And the reason we not speaking Swedish, Maximilian Bob from Tencent, please. And as you can see, the panel is one person short of what has been announced. Hanna Burkhardt from UNICEF Office of Innovation had to cancel her trip to Almedalen due to family reasons. But I'm going to try to, before we do anything else, just show a short film from UNICEF Innovation to...
You need to do the exit things and...
Exit what things?
There's exit signs.
Oh,
in case of an emergency, there's
okay,
exit.
Sorry. This seminar room has 2 emergency exits, one on each side. If we need to evacuate, do not bring anything with you. Leave all your luggage behind and follow the instructions of the crew. Is that how we do it?
Yes, and this is going to be recorded. Also.
Yes, this is going to be recorded, and is it also live broadcasted?
Yes.
Okay, so we will not edit anything afterwards. So please not pick your nose or something on TV.
Well, I wanted to.
Yeah, but you can just turn around. I was supposed to show this film from UNICEF. The audio is lagging on the TV, so I will use just the internal sound, and hopefully we can see the captions so you understand what it's about.
To be a part of this initiative makes me feel very empowered.
Every girl has a mission to complete. If we just break the stereotypes, everything will be much more helpful for everyone.
You live in the 21st century, STEM and STEAM is very important.
We came together and we said, let's unite and convene the gaming industry, the tech industry, ecosystem builders to serve the interests of adolescent girls everywhere.
Gender equality is really important for sustainable development and especially also engaging adolescent girls, because adolescent girls have often been left out, not included in especially the STEM sector, and giving them the skills and opportunities to be part of the solution.
We can help and shape capabilities that is useful both in their life skills but also for whatever future career or future they're looking into.
I think it's key to add more women and girls' voices in the gaming industry, because that's the only way to making an arena that is equal and where both women and men shape what's happening.
There are so many different roles that you can do within the games industry. So whether you are a musician or an artist, or whether you're really technical, whether you want to be a designer, there are opportunities everywhere.
When we work together to set some standards, we can elevate the debate, and make it as a systemic change.
Having industry specialists as our mentors is one of the best things that has ever happened to me.
I had interviews with tech women, with aerospace engineers from Uzbekistan to teach us to think and go by any creative ways and to keep up all the STEM fields and to generate something new. In 10 years, I will be maybe facilitating other girls and supporting them.
I definitely want to progress in the esports industry.
I'm really interested in neuroscience, in technology.
I see myself as a computer scientist and also like a problem solver in my community.
What we believe is by investing in the girls today, they will become the coders, developers, the women leaders of tomorrow.
Okay, 3 minutes and 37 seconds. That maybe summarizes the whole thing we're going to talk about. So maybe we can go out and have ice cream now.
Almost.
Okay, that's what we were about to hear from Hannah, but we will hopefully be able to cover these subjects anyway. But panelists, welcome to Almedalen. And let's start from my far end here. Maximilian, you work for Tencent.
That's correct.
First, give me a 30-second pitch. What is Tencent?
Tencent is a global entertainment and technology company. We have different things, different products, but we in Europe are doing a lot in the gaming sector. We work with a lot of partners here in Sweden. We invested as a majority and minority stakeholder in some of these. We do marketing partnerships with also Swedish studios, but also across Europe and the globe. That, as Tencent is a original Chinese company, we do that a lot in Asia. So a lot of times we go and have partners where we publish something then in Asia. We work on, especially in the mobile field together, because Tencent is a company which does mobile games mostly, historically, moving into also broader double and triple A titles. But that is one of the expert tracks we have where we work with partners, not only in Sweden, but also in Sweden.
Thank you. Johanna, I will skip you for 1 second as I already know you. Ulrika, please, who are you and why are you here?
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Ulrika Sultan and I'm a researcher. So I'm researching this that we just saw, and my focus is mainly on girls and technology and STEM and STEAM. The research is very binary, so therefore girls, but of course there's also querying and inclusion in the broader side.
And Johanna, of course I know you since you're my boss. But
Yes.
please introduce yourself.
So my name is Johanna Nylander and I work for the Swedish Games Industry Association, dataspelsbranschen. And I've been there for 12 years and done a lot of various things, and currently acting manager and head of analytics. But we are a membership associations, and we work with both all the development companies in Sweden, the distributors, and the entire ecosystem, and that's also why we're part of Spelalmedalen in that sense of way. We work with the universities, the higher vocational educations, the incubators, the clusters. We try to fit together all the partnerships in Sweden. And I just need to say something about the film, because I was there when UNICEF started their Game Maker Coalition, and all the girls in the video, they are real. and they are really, really impressive.
You mean they are not computer generated?
No,
or
they're not like
or they
the
are not
actors.
Oh, they are actual people in the program?
Yes,
okay.
They are the actual people in the program. I remember I was really impressed, especially by the young girl from Cambodia who went there, and she had this amazing sense of both herself and what she wanted to do, and we came from a family where like technology was something never even considered for a woman of her age, which I think is, and they have then continued and with the support of UNICEF, so that's, I really must highlight that as well.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna destroy the nice background now, because otherwise I can see my sheet notes here. But I was gonna start with you, Maximilian. As you said, Tencent, you're a huge international player.
Yes.
I looked up on Wikipedia, which said that you are like 100,000 plus employees globally, total revenue around $100 billion per year. Why bother with Sweden?
So yeah, just give that a bit perspective. Indeed, globally active and not only gaming. So we don't do this kind of figuratistic gaming. But Sweden, for us, is one of the core markets. Sweden has a track record in being very successful when it comes to games. The games from Sweden are actually globally competitive, which is a great achievement for a nation which is not that large compared to others. So I think there is something, I think we discussed it last week at the summit. We said there's maybe something in the water, but we came to the conclusion that it's not all of it probably. So I think the creative and technical strengths which are present in Sweden is one of the clear things. It's not only games, it's music, it's entertainment, it's even industrial products. So there's a combination of engineering qualities, design, storytelling, which is special in Sweden, which does attract obviously global attention as many games travel far. And I think, so Tencent in Sweden is a strategic long-term partner to many of the studios we work with. We help them stay actually kind of independent. They have their own management. They retain their creative and cultural identity here in Sweden. But with us, as I said before, they are able to proceed in certain marketing ways. We have an expert team which helps them develop next games, specific tasks within these kind of development, specific maybe country tasks elsewhere. That's what we bring to the table. So in that case, we have close collaborations, mentoring also with these studios here, and work with them very closely on hopefully creating the next hit game. That's why Sweden is so interesting for Tencent, and I think for many others as well. We see EA here, we see Microsoft in Sweden. So the strength of the Swedish gaming industry is clearly visible across the globe, I would say, not only by players, also by the larger industry.
Joanna, this is your field, bragging about numbers in the Swedish games industry. Any comments?
No, but I think it's really interesting what Tencent is doing, and I think I think the recent years we have got a lot of great interest from the world when it comes to both the games we create here, but also to the game developers, because we know that it's the people who makes the games, and everything from the games is teamwork. Basically, you need to have good designers, good artists, and good programmers to create a game, and it's very, very hard to do that just by yourself. And I think that we are, as a community, even if it's in some way quite homogeneous, we are as game developers very open-minded and inclusive as a community as well. And I think to have that sense of community that we have within the Swedish game developer scene is really, really important, but also something that needs to be continuous work to be able to reach out more and to find everything here together. And we are also, as a games industry association, we have been working with these issues for as long as I've been working here, at least, and some even before that. And I think that we have worked with it with different types of programs. We have recently we had the partnership with King for a scholarship. We also try to support the various initiatives around the country. In Skövde, they're doing this program called Donna with females and non-binary students coming together and have networks event. When I was a game student, my first time at Gotland wasn't at Almedalen. It was actually for a program called Supermarit, which collected all the female students in games in Sweden. And this was in 2005, and we were 11.
I would have guessed 12, but maybe one was sick.
I think one probably was sick. No, but we were 11 people.
Yep.
And now there are like, I think there's probably 11 students still here, women still here, that we will meet during this week and at events, and we now are over 2,000 women working in the games industry. So that has changed as well, and I think that's important to recognize.
Yeah, you actually jumped a bit ahead of my
things
here. But
I can come back and talk more about that. But
yeah,
yes.
You will be welcome to do that, because this panel is not just really about bragging about how great we are about making games in Sweden, even though 20% of the global sales on Steam last year is quite an impressive number. 20% global revenue, Steam.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. But we're really here to talk about the people who actually make the games, and even more the people who's going to make the next generation of games, the next generation of game developers, and how we're going to make sure that we have talents who choose to become game developers, who choose to become game developers in Sweden, and when they are developers, choose to remain in the industry and stay here. But Max, from your super mega corporation perspective, what kind of challenges do you see when it comes to talent, supply, pipeline, acquisition, retaining, whatever?
No, it's a very important point you touch on. I think now we see a big discussion how AI is helping us, how machines are hopefully helping us, not taking over, but it is ultimately the people who are making the games, and that's the talent pipeline the studios really need. And I think Sweden has a fantastic ecosystem and fostering that. We heard Skövde, which is an unbelievable hotbed for talent, which is really unique in Sweden. But I think attracting and retaining and developing kind of world-class talent is something which is really important for the Swedish game industry. Games are a complex product to make. You need many different kind of hybrid skills which are required to make these games, and they matter not only in the gaming industry, they now matter for a lot of other industries, right? So the competition for talent is pretty fierce. And I think, when it comes to Sweden, as I said, internally you build up a lot of talent, but the question is also how can global talent, we saw it in the film, right? The talent is all over the world and they want to maybe work on games, and some countries are a better placed to do that than others, and Sweden is one which is really well placed. So I think to attract the international talent, they obviously need to build a long-term career probably in one country, be able to see themselves working there for long. And I think that's something Sweden is very good in. I think, for example, language barrier is minimal, yes, to learn Swedish, and you said it nicely. Thank you for speaking English, everyone, today. But that works, right? So I think Sweden is actually a great place. But I do see, recently we had, and as this is a policy summit, recently we had a discussion with one of our studios about the changes in which were tabled at a citizen rule here in Sweden. They were really, well, they looked at that and questioned themselves if that's the right way, because it affected, I think, nearly 10% of their employees who are actually applying for citizenship and now have to wait longer. For some, this is really difficult. If you come, for example, from Ukraine at the moment, it's not easy to have 2 more years and pay, because your paperwork basically stops and you have to go back 2 years later to get paperwork again. So there are some challenges, I think, and without getting then too political, but I think what is important is really that there are just factors in place which attract the global talent. I think Sweden is very good in that. I think from this outside perspective, I think it's important to stay on that and to still be welcome to these kind of talents. Especially the gaming industry, I think, is one where this is very important, because the competition for these kind of jobs is just very fierce, and the gaming industry here profits a lot from international talent. So this is kind of the view we have. I have on Sweden, working here more with the studios, talking with them, generally I think a very good spot already for Sweden. I think everybody likes to come, likes to be here, and I think for a lot of talent that works very well. That is also one of the points when speaking to the studios, right? It's a very international employee base, but I think there are certain things which on this path need to continue to work out for them to come to Sweden, to work here, to be attracted by studios in Sweden.
Yeah, well, that's mainly, those are people who already are in the industry. They relocate to Sweden to get a career. It's quite, you don't really get your first job moving to Sweden, I think. But I'm retaining, like traditionally, you lock up your programmers in the basement, you feed them a pizza and 2 Jolt Colas every 4 hours, and they are happy they will stay in the company. But we don't want that picture of the game industry anymore. It wasn't like that in the 90s either, almost. But Joanna, you said about the thing we've done with King, which is about attracting a broader talents pool to the industry and help people from different backgrounds to enter and get a foothold. Can you please, you touched it very briefly, but please dive deeper into it.
No, but the idea about this, so we had this scholarship program that was run for 2 years. First year it was 25 people, and the second we had, how many? 11, So Elin, she's been working closely with all the scholars and making everything work together. No, but so one of the reasons for doing that was because we have for several years we have sent like young female aspiring developers to conferences. We had a really nice partnership with the GDC Game Developers Conference in San Francisco. So we supported with King as well their trips to this big conference, and both from Sweden and from Europe and the Nordics in general. But then time changed a bit, and for some reason people weren't as keen on going to the US anymore. So we looked at different way of doing that, or to use that type of resources. And when we see the games industry, we talk a lot about the community and how we are a great network, and everybody is family and knows each other, and not family, but you get the point. And that's also something that's kind of hard to get into, because you need the networks, you need the connections, you need to be in this bubble or to come into it. And one way is to be a really good expert and coming from another country, but for students in Sweden, it's harder, and I think especially now it's even harder. So what we did for the scholars was to create a safe place where you could you have a mentor. I think you're doing it in pairs, so you have
Someone was in pairs, someone had a student.
yeah, a bit depending on the needs, but at least so then you meet regularly over a year, you attend some events together, and you have some both inspirers, mentor sessions, and some more casual meetups, and a lot of these people have then already started their journey into the industry as professionals, and I think that's just to have that network, and now we will have like an alumni network as well, has been really successful, not only for us and for King and for the scholars, but I think for the entire industry as well.
Yeah. Yes, of course. I was just going to ask you, but please fill in here.
So we talk a little bit like programmers falling out of the sky. There's a pipeline, there's a tap, and we're just waiting for them. And I post that picture. I don't like that pipeline metaphor, because for girls and women, it's not the case. Might be for men, I don't know, I don't research men or boys, but the pipeline metaphor is very, very problematic for girls, because the journey is much more complex. Because you maybe start out as a little girl in preschool, doing your own program, like on paper, and that's what you do. And then you go through school, and maybe you still have that creativity, you still have that coding eye, but no one is looking at you as a person with possibilities. They say, oh, you're so creative. Oh, you're so good. Maybe you should do maths, maybe not. You're definitely not technical, because people will tell you that you're creative instead. So that might end up you choosing then to do humanities. That's also fine. You can do that too. That's fine. But maybe your path is very slightly different, because no one is encouraging you. No one is a possibility maker for you. No one is looking at you and saying, you know what, you should really go into the computer science or be a game maker. They will tell you something else. So the journey for women that becomes a person within the gaming industry is much more complex. It takes longer usually, it's harder. And we can see that in higher education, usually a little bit older than the boys in your class. Because somewhere on the line, you thought, maybe that's not for me, maybe that's not a career for me. So I would like to see us stop talking about the pipeline and instead really taking responsibility of they will not fall out of the sky. So how can I, as a person, as a gaming industry company, be a possibility maker for a young girl, so she will retain that path that she's on, so she doesn't have to do that whole 360 weird way of getting into the industry. How can I take responsibility? And my responsibility could be saying to a girl, you know what, I think you should be a game maker. I really think that you could suit into just doing that. That's enough. Just be there for her. Doesn't mean that you have to be a full-time mentor, which is also nice. And men and women can be mentors for girls. Doesn't have to be a woman, because women are also doing stuff there all the time. So men can also be great role models for girls. So just a little bit like wary on that pipeline thing, because it doesn't match girls and how they get into the industry. And I think that's very important to remember. There's not a clear path, but we need to be there for them.
Thank you so much. I've actually never thought about that metaphor not being usable. So I'll start thinking about that. But to follow up here, we've been talking about programming, coding, STEM as the key to success. And we have to start coding in preschool to become better than the Koreans, Chinese, Singaporean programmers. But game development is not just about coding. I normally say that we like programming and slöjd equally much. Slöjd is like crafts, knitting or woodworking or whatever. One of the best games last year, Midnight Walk, made from clay animated figures. You don't do a clay animated game if you're just a coder. But your research has been on how to, if I understand correctly, to get game development methodology or game development in schools at earlier ages. Is that correct? Or I tried to read your LinkedIn page, but it flew a bit above my head.
Yeah, so my research is a little bit of everything, but it's essentially about being a possibility maker for girls. Essentially that, because we put a lot of pressure into girls and women to take that responsibilities themselves, which I think is quite weird. Like, if you're not included, how are you going to take that responsibility? So it's a lot about that, but I'm also an educator, I'm a teacher, and I think that's super important, and also that happens in schools. And we actually see girls, we let them take up that space to feel like they belong. It's our responsibility to make them feel belonging. So it's a lot about that, but also, I mean, Sweden is, yeah, now it's going to be a little bit political. But we're also in a very interesting situation where we don't want screens in schools. Which is fine, you can be creative in many, many different ways, but it also takes away the possibility for more kids to actually get those skills. And there's also a weird, there's some interesting things. I'm not going to say weird, I'm a researcher. So I'm going to say it's interesting, it's very interesting, that we're also looking into, there's a lot of, for example, maths games in Sweden that you use in schools to learn maths, and instead of having books, we're doing it on screens, which is fine. But we also say things like girls are not as good as boys in maths, but it's mainly because there's a difference, because when the computer games, the maths games are on stationary computers, the boys feel much comfortable because they usually are the ones having one at home and playing on it, while girls are much more skillful and comfortable when they are on tablets or phones. Then they will smash those maths games. So it's a very interesting, like, the screens needs to be gone because girls and boys are doing less good, but it's not screens, it's the what are you also used to. So I look into a lot of that, like what are the possibilities of schools so they can foster kids that are comfortable in a digital world, that they feel that they are empowered, and also from the very democratic process of things, of course. And in the end, all of the will sum up into more game developers, no matter if you are in arts, coding, and so on. I mean, for myself, I started as falling in love with robotics. That was my way into all of this. And I became a robotics teacher. And then I added on, I realized if I want to do robotics, I need to do a lot about coding, and I did that. And then I started to evolve into what I do today. So there are many ways. This is a very long take, sorry. But to sum it up, there's a lot of like really nice pieces of the puzzles that are laid out for us. Now we just need to lay that puzzle. There's so much good research. There's so much good ways that we can support more girls to become women into the gaming industry. And I think that's very important to realize. And it's not only gaming industry, it of course also is science centers, museums, art museums, it doesn't matter, since that is all training these problem-solving skills that we're a little bit talking about also. We all know about the knitters in the Second World War, knitting in code, sending out to the, sending home to tell about the enemy's movements. It's always been there, but maybe not as appreciated. But problem solving is key, supporting girls are key.
I think that most of us who've been working in game development have always got the question, oh, that's nice, but when are you going to get a real job? Or what you're going to do when you grow up? I still don't know, I'm 54, but...
Me neither.
No, good. I think what you're touching is that how do we get teachers, parents, people working in schools, counselors, and studievägledare in Swedish, how do we get them to recognize a career in the games industry as just as real or grown-up jobs as being a working in tech or as a doctor or a teacher or mechanics or whatever. How can we? What can we do to change that perspective? Any? Yeah.
I usually tell people that since you work also with the manufacturing industry, everyone has like the same kind of issues. But what I usually say is adopt a student counselor. Because they don't know. How are they supposed to know? They don't know. And I tell that no matter if you're an engineer or if you're a programmer, no one knows. You're like unicorns. You heard about them, no one's seen them. Like, what do they do? Like, are they out on the streets? Like, how do they look? No one knows. So really, really adopt a student counselor because they have so much power. They're going to sit there with a young person and say, you know what? I think you should do, I don't know, like home caring. I don't know. But because they don't know. That's what they know. They see that all the time, but they don't know. Adopt a student counselor. Promise you that will have an effect.
Has anyone here ever discussed a career in games with a student counselor, studievägledare in their schools? You have? And they know about it?
What?
Yeah? I'm impressed. Max?
Absolutely important point. I think one thing I want to contribute here. I think schools for us as a company, as a private business, we're not going to go probably to schools. Yes, if there are like broader kind of partnerships, that's something where we can engage. But I do want to touch on I think 2 points where we can make a difference. I will talk about how we partner with the game school in a second, but the other thing is, and then you said that, and I think that's very important, is that the discussion at the moment about gaming and screens became too narrow, and it became only focused on restrictions, and we're not talking anymore about what actually the positive outcomes are of these kind of also screens. They can also have positive impacts. I mean, I speak to many people in the gaming industry, and it's the same for myself. I played too many simulations, which is very boring, but that was the first contact I had with doing something in a text editor, right? And I didn't continue that path, but there is certainly something that people through gaming will learn about technology, about digital products, about software. So this is a very important point, and I think for us we are starting also a kind of a program called Just Healthy Gameplay, where we want to talk about the positivities of gameplay also, and we have a couple of factors which are part of that. One is that just healthy by design gameplay, so that we also come to a point and probably overcome the bit, in that sense, toxic like conversation at the moment that games are always negative when maybe minors interact with them. No, it can also be a mean of learning something. And I think so this health by design is just that the gaming industry as it is also builds games which are safe, which foster well-being, and which are skill building, actually do participate in skill building for players. And I think the second thing is, and that's very topical at the moment, is a shared responsibility. And by that I mean that we as an industry, of course, have a responsibility on how we design our games, that they're not in any kind harmful. But there's also a responsibility of adults, parents, to look at what are the games, are they age appropriate, where do I, which games do I have my children play. And the third thing is then, of course, also accountable governance, and that's where regulation comes in, that we are compliant with regulation, we follow it as an industry. But I think if we move forward thinking this broader kind of picture of the gaming industry, and hopefully created by ourselves as the industry, but also clearly support the positive elements of gaming, that's something we are very interested to bring to the gaming industry, to bring to our partners and studios. And I think one initiative particularly is that we partner with Games for Change, a bigger NGO, and we have a partnership with them on Raising Good Gamers initiative. We will, I think in 1 month, in their New York event, Games for Change in New York, publish a white paper about raising good gamers. We have started a podcast which is called Raising Good Gamers, which everybody can listen to. We partnered with them, but we helped them. And this is exactly a bit to broaden the discussion, to help to understand that games can be more than just, you know, only, I mean, entertainment can be a lot, but there are more elements to it than just the entertainment part. So that is something we are working on, and we can look into together, I think, to see if we can move that picture. Because I think then going back to reassuring girls also to become or to look at the gaming industry, to look at technical STEM jobs. I think if we have such a broader understanding of the gaming industry, and we really as an industry work on these elements, I think then it's easier to include everybody in these like programs and kind of bring them closer to the industry. And one short point I want to make also about something which is then, let's say, the layer after school, right? That's university. We also work with Futuregames since a year. Futuregames is a gaming craft school, I would call it. They do development and game artists. They build them up, and we just had so the students have to create games along the way in their curriculum, and we had just the gaming project tree, how they call it, is in the middle of the program, where the students have to create small games, and we had in the different locations somebody from Tencent as a jury member evaluating these games. And that's actually where you see what you also said about mentorship, super important. It really doesn't matter who of the team is there, and they all create fantastic games. Our colleagues were impressed how far they are and what a short time they are. So they are really spirited on video games. They love it. And nobody needs to sit in any cellar. They can rise up with us together, and we are there to help them become maybe the next developer for a great game, and also go their path. Last point, but I forgot that. I think before, when I spoke about Sweden and the gaming industry, I think what is so important in Sweden is the ecosystem, and I think if we build up the talent, they also often enough go and do their own and create their own studio, and that is something which is now probably even easier with AI coming in, and the levels of kind of support you have there. So building up the talent also through these partnerships, for example in university, for example in Futuregames, is also really important, I think, to do. So to conclude, I think we have we try to help the industry to broaden the view on how we see games, and then we go and help students when they are in a university setting. And I think we're happy to look at anything what is school related, but for the moment I think there's a healthy distance to school, which from our perspective is not the thing we directly jump into. But if there are the right partnerships, I think that's something we definitely want to continue doing also.
Joanna, you haven't been silent this long since I met you for the first time. Yeah.
Sometimes you also need to think.
Yeah.
No, but I think we have. I think this is a really, really great perspective, and I think the initiatives you're doing are really good for the industry as well. I have like one of my favorite research pieces on games is that, or it's not the only, but I've probably quoted this too much, but there is a study saying that girls who play video games when they are teens are more likely to become educated into the STEM fields. And I think this is, you can probably look at this in many different ways, but I think that games as entertainment and games as a piece of fun and something that is joyful, to have young girls to keep playing and not stop when they become teenagers are really, really important for our industry. Not just because it's consumers and they will pay a lot, and that's good for the industry as well, but to see them both as a core audience, I think that would be healthy, and also to make probably better games as well, and to create more good gamers instead of communities where girls want to quit playing because they don't feel welcome. So that's a really important part, but also because games are really, really fun. And I think that especially young girls who probably has sometimes more pressure from the outside world in becoming these clever and smart and talent and whatever you are, you want to be a good girl, right? But then, and play is not, it's not as useful, but to find joy and to find meaning in that small piece of joyful usefulness or non-usefulness, I think that is like really important as well, because I think if we raise young women or young girls to also prioritize leisure, I think we will have a better society in the end as well. And I think we, as the games industry, can if we can have like a tiny part of that, I think that's also something that will be helpful and take some pressure away as well, and part of our greater society. and hopefully maybe some will become engineers as well, because they think computers are fun and not just boring tool. And probably we should have more computers and not just tablets in the schools as well.
Can I make a comment?
Of course.
Because in research we call that resonance. It's a sociology theory about resonance, things that make you feel belonging or alienated from it. And resonance is included into what you said. It's leisure, but it also makes you feel good. And things that make you feel good, you kind of stay with longer. So it doesn't matter if it's educational or it's for fun, but it makes you feel good, you're probably going to stay on that path. So it's a very important point of view to think about also, like how can we also keep teen girls continue playing? I think that's a very good question.
And I think that will also make the games industry more on top of mind, because if you keep playing when you are not just 13 but 14 and 16 and 17 and 18, then you are much more likely to either consider to become a game developer in any part of way. And I think that is very important for our industry.
Yeah, and I think my wife works in surgery, and they work with robotic surgery. When you insert your hands in this robot and you control these really, really tiny instruments for surgery, brain surgery or vascular surgery, things you can't do with your real hands. And surgeons who play video games are much better at controlling these things. So playing games helps you save lives as well.
Yes, that's very.
We have like 3 minutes. Any comments or questions from the audience? Bobby, please.
Yeah, I was thinking about, because we're talking about games and how girls and women can be more like visible in the sphere. And I am thinking about us who works around games in different ways. There are a hierarchy in the games, like how people view the games, where the harder and more like hardcore the game is, the better it is.
Real games, yeah.
Real games,
yeah.
While a lot of the games that like girls play, they're not viewed as less important, less good. My daughter plays a lot of like simple, casual games. She loves them. My mother plays those games as well, but they don't consider themselves as gamers at all. What can we do about that? Who wants to say something?
Thank you. It's a very good point, because I'm just thinking about the self-pronounced tech bro. He's very, which should not be mentioned, but he's very clearly playing a sort of game. And that's like, if you are a true gamer, this is what you're playing. And of course, that has a massive effect on how you are viewed. I mean, there's a huge difference in who is considered into being a gamer. And I think also girls that are self-identifying as gamer are usually also conformed into that. I am a gamer because I play this, which is very also then considered to be a real, like, skillful kind of game. So that is super problematic. So, but again, I think we have a responsibility also to tell girls that they are gamers, but also to maybe really think about that hierarchy. Because also in the workplace, maybe depending on what kind of games you're working on, are some seen as being like a little bit more like cool or have higher status within the social group of the workplace, then we have an issue, because then it's already embedded into the system of the game workers also. I think that's a very good point of view. I think you should buy your mom a gamers t-shirt. She can walk around and she will be a great role model for others.
She's definitely the biggest gamer in our family.
I love that.
She loves games.
I just want to make one comment. I think casual games are growing, definitely growing kind of genre. I think more and more people from the industry are looking into that. There are whole markets. I know that Turkey is thriving on casual games, for example. They create that a lot. So I think, because this is actually what the discussion also in the industry is like the AAA, PC games versus maybe a mobile game. And I think we're seeing more and more that people actually estimate the craft, which goes also into the casual and mobile games. But you're right, it's not on the same level yet, and the discussion is a different one for the two games. But I think from an industry perspective that we will see casual games and this kind of gaming more coming into the light.
And I think it's also it's harder to create a successful mobile game today, a casual mobile game today, than is to create a successful AA PC game. And if we need to talk about that as well, the hard craft of creating a good and working mobile game.
And it's also a technical challenge to make with the limited inputs and limited capacity of a mobile to make challenging and good games there. That's not just repeating what has been done before. We have not really time, but we do one last question anyway.
No, I just want to thank everybody for the topic. I think it's super interesting. I want to hit you guys up with questions later, but I've been thinking a lot about the systemic challenges, right? So we're talking a lot about ecosystems, and again, there's that tension with, let's be honest, a lot of governments and countries look to the companies with the big money to solve the technical problems. This has been going since I entered the industry in 2001 in Canada, actually, through a program actually that DICE created to get women. I was a university art student, and I ended up falling sideways into this industry. But I really want to talk about the systemic challenges, right? Because you have on one end, you have the tension of the money. It's a product. You have to have people to buy it. There needs to be profit, right, and companies to hire people, right? So that's a tension. But the systemic aspect that we're talking about with education, we all go into a system, and again, we want to get rid of screens, okay? But we're not finding innovation within how do we adjust the system to where we are today in society and the world as it is. Like, I learned history in Canada from the 1700s. So I'm just curious about your thoughts on the systemic challenges we have, and how can we broaden it in this amazing, yes, it's contracting, but it's also expansive world that we have of this ecosystem between companies and programs and governments, especially in Sweden. So yeah, could you speak to some of the systemic challenges, and how do we broaden our horizons on those thoughts?
I think that's a super good question, because everyone mentions systemic, but no one really wants to work with it because it takes so long. And you don't win any political points with that. But it's so important to really, really think about what are the challenges and what do we need to do. I think it's sad that there is such an anti-screen, because as said earlier also, it's not the screens per se, it's actually what you also do with them and what are we supposed to learn. I mean, there's a screen here, everyone seems fine. I mean, they had quite a lot of screen time now, even though it's but it's the content, what do you do with it? And I think that's so good to really think about. And I'm guessing a lot of us is also going to be at the Mingle later today. So let's also continue this conversation. I think these are very, very important.
And every positive voice counts now. I think for the systemic challenge, we are only speaking about negativities. We need to everybody speak up and speak about what's positive, how we came into gaming maybe, how, as I said, how playing games also helps you understand how software works maybe. There needs to be a shift in the minds of, it's just gaming and it's just a pastime. No, I think actually people engage with games and they engage with technology and they grow through that, and that's universal, I guess, for young adults to grow. So I really think everybody who has a positive story get on deck and let's talk about it.
Yeah, and now we're actually 4 minutes past our finish time, so it's no more screen time for you. But let's continue these discussions afterwards here with a cup of coffee or at the mingle tonight or anywhere that we meet each other and people who are interested in the games industry and people who are opposed to the games industry, because those are the ones we need to convince. A big hand for the panel, please. Thank them. And see you later tonight.